Onto this conversation now, an artificial intelligence tool is hoping to solve the country's woes of gender-based violence. Kwanele, Bringing Women Justice, is the winner of a Grand Challenges Grant, which is an initiative fostering innovation to solve pressing global health and development problems. Let's chat to Leonora Tima, CEO of Kwanele. She joins us virtually. Good evening to you. Thank you very much for joining us here on Newsnight. Now, gender-based violence and violence against women and children is a scourge that as a country we've been battling with for decades and a very long time now. Just talk to us about your involvement and what exactly it is that Kwanele does.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for having me. So Kwanele is a tech-based nonprofit, and we are looking at how to increase reporting for gender-based violence using technology. We've been piloting a mobile application across South Africa since November of last year that has a panic button, and you can store evidence in there, and it geolocates and is timestamped so that it's admissible in court. But we saw very quickly that people were still struggling to access the justice system. And that's where the idea of a chatbot came from. And so we're currently in the process of building that using GPT technology, and we call it GBV. And it guides survivors through the justice system using everyday, easy language.
Leonora, before we dive into the chatbot and its capabilities, let's chat a little bit about your personal journey and why you found it so important to fight this fight.
So in December of 2019, my husband's family lost a young woman to gender-based violence. She was murdered and raped and left on the side of the N2. And she was 9 months pregnant at the time. And for me, what stood out about her murder was the fact that it wasn't even newsworthy. It was so normal within South Africa that her story was never told, her perpetrators never found, because it just was an everyday occurrence. And I wanted to look and see how to create a platform where survivors of gender-based violence could report anonymously and access services, whether it be legal services or shelters or counseling, so that then they could start rebuilding their lives, essentially.
Yeah, no, it's shocking how normalized these instances have become, and it's definitely something that needs a lot more attention. But let's expand then on the work that you and your organization is doing with ChatGBV, this chatbot, and how you've incorporated artificial intelligence into solving a very burning issue that South Africa is currently battling with.
So currently what we're doing is we're building the data set. So because AI technology currently is mostly built for a very specific demographic, which is generally an affluent white demographic, essentially, the data set for underserved populations doesn't really exist. So what we've started with is running workshops, and we ran our first ones in Cape Town on Friday, actually. And we're running now from Monday in Johannesburg, where we bring together groups of different people from across different population groups, whether it be, survivors in the townships or students, young people over the age of 12, or LGBTQIA plus community, and also sex workers. And we look at how they use language for when they're trying to get help in the language that they would use every day. So slang, cultural nuances, all of those kind of things. And we record when they do like role plays or very simple activities, looking at just the language they use. And then we use that language to train the bot so that it speaks that language. We do activities as well where people ask questions and answer the questions, so we can see exactly the kind of language that they're doing. It's actually quite, although the subject matter is dark, the activities themselves and training the bot is quite fun. And then we also upskill people on the technology itself.
And then, Leonora, once the chatbot is then complete, how are you hoping that it will assist? What are the functionalities that will be different from things that we've seen before in trying to assist and fight gender-based violence?
So I think one of the key functions is that it actually speaks very day-to-day language and in multi-language. So it's not only in English, whereas, a lot of the forms currently are only in English. But so the second thing I think that makes it stand out is that while the tech is there and the chatbot is there, we also have live people in the background. So if at any point the chatbot picks up that it's an emergency situation, you're guided straight to a human who can then network you with urgent services. So I think that's what sets it apart. And I think it's also we're integrating it on platforms such as Facebook and WhatsApp. So it's actually taking technology to the people, not expecting people to come to the technology.
And Leonora, there's also a campaign, hashtag Your Data Matters. There's also been in-person campaigns where your team has been traveling to various areas and engaging with survivors and their family members. Just talk to us about those experiences.
So, as a feminist-based organization, we try and co-create all of our technology. So it's not me sitting in an office in the suburbs designing tech that's going to be used at grassroots level. So when we talk about your data matters, it's really talking to people, making sure that they understand A, what their data is, what ethical use of data online looks like, because think a lot of people, you tick those um, confidentiality agreements or your privacy, whatever, and your cookies, and you don't really know what it means. So we've been trying to incorporate that into our campaigns, but also incorporate the fact that their voice and their data matters in building our technology. So it's actually not our technology, it's their technology, it's all of our technology.
And then just lastly, Leonora, there are quite a few organizations like yours who support survivors and who fight the scourge of gender-based violence, but there's only so many people that you can reach and there's only so much that you can do. As someone who engages regularly with victims and survivors of gender-based violence, what needs to change? What can government and what can we as South Africans do to try and make the situation better? I mean, gender-based violence is a huge and ongoing issue. How do we start in fixing this and changing the narrative?
So I think on different levels, I think first of all, in the nonprofit sector, I think we could work better together. We're not competing. Like, I know funding sometimes is a problem, but nonprofits could work better together and they could accomplish a lot more by doing so. I think at a grassroots and a community level, we need to help better accountability. We see survivors every day that are denied justice because of the service providers that are supposed to be assisting in that process. And that needs to be changed. We need to start challenging rape culture. We need to start challenging patriarchal systems and ensure that people are given the justice that they deserve. And then we need to also hold our government accountable. It's all good for the people to stand up and make sweeping statements, but not commit to any of that. And I think, yeah, as leaders, as nonprofits, we need to help encourage solidarity and allyship to ensure that people at the grassroots level can join us in accessing that justice.
And as South Africans, it can be challenging sometimes if you know of someone who is in a violent or abusive relationship to sort of figure out how you can assist and how to handle a situation like this. It can be quite challenging. What advice do you have for someone who maybe has a friend or a sister or even a brother, because we know that men can be abused as well? How do you even start in assisting and trying to maneuver and help the situation?
I think the first thing is always believe. Always believe, it doesn't matter what. The second thing is listen and then reach out to organizations like ourselves to ask for help. Even if you reach out to us, we'll network, put you in touch with people in your area because we don't offer a lot of services on the ground, but reach out, ask for help.
And just lastly, can you just maybe perhaps share ways in which people can reach your organization? Do they find you on social media? How do they get in touch?
So we are on all mainstream social media channels, Kwanele, South Africa, and on there you can find our WhatsApp lines for emergency situations. You can DM us, or you can go to our website, which is www.kwanelesouthafrica.org.
Thank you so much, Leonora, for your time and for the work that you are doing. We appreciate your insights as well. That was Leonora Tima, CEO of Kwanele. They are developing a chat GBV chatbot that incorporates AI to help fight the scourge of gender-based violence here in South Africa. But